Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
Before we get started with another great edition of the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast, I do want to let you know, Zencastr.com. That's right, Zencastr.com. They are without a doubt my favorite website to head over to for all of these great conversations that you hear on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. Superior quality in sound. Also, they have a great video option as well if you need to record your videos. But the best part about it is the files are all split separately into MP3s. So you can edit them separately, you can put them together, do whatever you got to do. The main idea is Zencastr, Zencastr.com. That's Zencastr for all of your podcasting, video conferencing, even if you just want to have a great conversation with your loved ones. All your needs there online for communication, Zencastr has you covered. That's right.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Welcome back to the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast, the show about pro wrestling and everything else. And let me tell you something, folks. The stuff that our friends down in Middle Kingdom Wrestling, China, they are doing some fantastic stuff. I mean, literally, Adrian and his team, they have developed the absolute best wrestling promotion, not only in China, but one of the top promotions in the world. And what I love about the promotion is that they are very serious about equitable diversity. You take a look at their roster from the very beginning, and you just see a mixed bag of a little bit of everything there. And what's interesting is that they have black male singles wrestlers who are not just an afterthought, who are not just there for window dressing. This is legit, and I love it. You know, I got a lot of respect for those folks over at Middle Kingdom Wrestling, and definitely get a lot of respect for the roster as a whole. And this week, I want to highlight two of their top stars, Uncle Money and Zombie Dragon. Okay, these are two guys that are just so much fun to talk to. These are two guys that are not to be played with, though. Okay, this isn't a joke. And you're going to find out exactly why. So let's start off with our first conversation with the one, the only, Uncle Money.
This is Uncle Money, the hitman, member of the stable, one of the top guys. I like to beat people up. That's what I do. You pay me the dollars, I go and beat up anybody you want. So I've always been a wrestling fan as a kid. I would never miss Raw or SmackDown. Had all the action figures, the belts, I had everything. I was obsessed with it. And as a kid, I wanted to do it. But you know how black families are. You got to go to school and get a real job, which I ended up doing anyway. But you know how black families are with that stuff. So my mom shot it down. And then I just kind of gave up on that dream. But in college, I would just still think, maybe I do want to do this. This is something I think I want to do. So I posted on Facebook about me wanting to do WWE or whatever, want to be a wrestler. And the executive producer for this movie I did, he hit me up and he said he's going to this indie wrestling show in Atlanta. And he said, I should come with him and meet some of the guys, network with them or whatever. I was like, okay, that's cool. It was my first indie show. I've been to WWE events, but I've never been to a little indie show. So that was my first time at an indie show. So I go there and, I had a good time. I liked it, and then during intermission, I'm just walking around and this guy, he comes up and approaches me and he says, "Hey, are you a wrestler?" I say, "No." And he says, "Do you want to be one?" And I said, yeah. So he gave me his card and he said, contact him after the show. So after the show, I hit him up and we meet up directly after the show and we get to just talking. I tell him about my background in athletics and even my acting background. I did a monologue for him and, we just talked and he told me, more insights about the business or whatever. And then we just kept in contact. This was November 2015, by the way. January 2016, he said, I'm going to book you in your first wrestling match. Now, I had no training. I mean, the only training I did was in the backyard stuff with your homeboys and stuff, that stuff. But like, I had no proper training, nothing. So what he wanted to do was he wanted to do like the opposite. Most people, they go to wrestling school, learn the moves or whatever, then they learn a gimmick. What he wanted to do was he wanted to get my character and my gimmick. That was the number one thing. Then after that, work on the moves or whatever. So like we spent, like weeks working on my character. We came up with my, name, Uncle Money. And that stemmed from, so how I got the name Uncle Money. I used to rap, that's one of my secrets. I used to rap back in the day. My rap name was T Money. And after I stopped rapping, my friends and I, we, came up with like, what's the word? Like redneck names. Like I was Billy, my best friend Raymond, his name was Bob. We just come up with these stupid names. We just having fun. Then we came up with the family tree. He's everyone's dad and I'm his brother. So all his kids are my uncle or my nephews. So I'm Uncle Billy. So we basically just combined the Uncle Billy and T Money and put in the Uncle Money. That's how I actually got the name. And then we just created a character based off of that. So after we did develop my character, we filmed, a ton of promos or whatever. We just did, a lot of promos. And after that, I was originally supposed to wrestle a guy named Stitch. I was supposed to wrestle him, but he had to pull out. So my first opponent was yours truly, Montez. He was my, AKA Curry Zombie Dragon. He was my very first opponent. And he had just got out of wrestling retirement to do this match for me. Alex, the guy that, discovered me, reached out to Montez, asked him to do this favor. And Montez agreed, to do it for me. He didn't even know me, know anything about me, but agreed to do it as a favor. So we worked on, this was my first match. We pretty much worked on, it was supposed to be just a squash match. Worked on like a few moves that, I could do in his backyard. We worked on that and that was that. And so I remember my first match, it was about 2 hours. It was in Ringo, Georgia, which is like in the middle of nowhere, up North Tennessee. Is Confederate, it's the middle of nowhere. But get there, my mom brings like the whole church. My mom, she literally brings like the whole church, like all of them come out to the match. And went out there, did my match. And it went well. The match, it went well. It was my first match, and then to my surprise, my dad, who lives in DC, he drove 10 hours to see the match. I didn't even know he was coming because he told me he obviously can't make it, but he surprised me. So I was like, whoa, he's here too. So it was like good to, see both of them. But yeah, both my parents were there and, had a good match. My friends, they came out and I sold some merchandise that night as well. And yeah, it was a, a good thing. And then after that, that's when I started, continuing wrestling. Then I started, training more and I started wrestling a bit regularly. I was wrestling primarily for a promotion called PCW, Platinum Championship Wrestling, based out of Porterdale, Georgia. I was doing that for some time. And, I was involved in their storylines and stuff like that. So I was doing wrestling there. Then I got injured and I took a hiatus for the remainder of the year. And I'm taking a hiatus. And I didn't get back really into wrestling until I moved to China.
So you moved to China and you linked up with Middle Kingdom Wrestling, literally the number one promotion in all of China, one of the top wrestling promotions in the world. How the heck did you manage to get in there?
When I had confirmed that I'm moving to China, I still had the wrestling itch. So I was just Googling, pro wrestling in China to see if, okay, can I wrestle out here? And I saw an article on LinkedIn. So I read the article and I saw the article was from Big Sam. So I sent Sam a message on LinkedIn, tell him, hey, I'm a pro wrestler in Atlanta and, I'm moving to China, blah, blah, blah. Then a few days later, Sam responded to me and he told me about the wrestling in China and whatever. And him and I stayed in contact. Before I moved, him and I just stayed in constant contact with each other. Then I moved to China and, still stayed in contact with him. When I first moved, I haven't even met him yet, but, we still stayed in contact. Then he introduces me to Ash because Ash lives in Shenzhen as well as me. So he introduced me to Ash. I met Ash for the first time. We hung out, developed a friendship from there. Then around this all takes place August 2017, by the way. Then September 2017, the WWE, they come into town. They come to Shenzhen. So before the WWE show, MKW hosts a meet and greet party with the wrestlers. So it was, me, Ash, Sam, and Chairman Al. We were in attendance and we all went at the party. And at the party, that was my first time, meeting Sam in person. That was also my first time meeting Chairman Al. And then at that party, that's when we officially joined forces to form the most dangerous group in Asia, known as the Stable. And since joining with them, that's how I got in with MKW. It all started with a LinkedIn message from Sam. And, here I am almost 5 years later.
It's funny. One of the things that I cover here on Duke Loves Rasslin is diversity and inclusion and most importantly, equitable diversity. So not just the fact that you have various races and various cultures represented within a wrestling promotion, but that everyone is given a fair opportunity to shine, to be presented as stars, to compete for top prizes and what have you. Talk to me about your place in Middle Kingdom Wrestling and from an equitable diversity standpoint, do you feel you have a fair opportunity in that promotion?
So we do have different champions of other races. So, of course, I feel, we have the fair opportunities. As far as I go, I feel that I personally haven't gotten a fair shot at anything, at the top level yet. I feel I haven't gotten that. And I feel other people have told me multiple times that I should, get this fair shot. Other people have told me, have said this multiple times that I should, and I haven't yet. And that's the one thing that I feel as maybe holding me back somewhat because I'm not getting that fair shot that I feel that I should get.
Do you think that part of the reason why you're not getting a fair shot personally, because as you stated, there is a lot of diversity within Middle Kingdom Wrestling. There are a diverse cast of champions that we've seen through the years. So that base is covered. But on a personal level, do you feel that Middle Kingdom Wrestling head honcho over there, Adrian, Is there some type of personal animosity with you because you're more handsome than him? You have bigger muscles. You have a stronger following. I mean, all the girls want to be with you. All the guys want to hang out with you. You're a rapper. You're this super uber talented performer. And meanwhile, he's just some nerdy guy in the back who, yes, he's in charge of promotion, but he's not, he's not Uncle Money. He's not the man who can make it work. Is it because Adrian is jealous of you? Do you feel that that's part of the reason why you haven't been given a fair shot at the MKW World Heavyweight Championship?
Of course. I mean, when you're the top guy, the most popular, everybody want to be like you. You got, this little jabroni weenie that, is hating. He's going to try to hold you down. And, that's how it is. When the little guy, has power, he wants to hold the top guy down. And that's what's happening. But at the end of the day, the fans are the ones that make the decisions. And the fans want to see Uncle Money at the top. And if the fans want it, can't no one stop it.
Well, and I think that's important. I mean, listen, no disrespect to Adrian. He's a hell of a guy. Okay. And he's done a hell of a job promoting Middle Kingdom wrestling in China. He's making major strides. He's doing things on a scale that very few promoters have been able to do around the world. So I take nothing away from him. But the bottom line is Uncle Money is box office. Uncle Money is marquee. Uncle Money makes it happen in the ring. He can party better than everybody has ever partied outside of the ring. There is no reason why Uncle Money shouldn't be bestowed upon with an opportunity to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship in Middle Kingdom Wrestling China. And at some point, Adrian is going to have to answer for that. This political nonsense, we thought that Middle Kingdom Wrestling was going to be different, but I'm looking at Adrian kind of funny because he continues to find ways not to offer you a fair shot at the championship. So, we got a problem here, Adrian, and at some point you're going to have to address it. And I hope that you address it sooner rather than later because, Uncle Money is not the type of guy that's just going to sit back and keep putting up with this nonsense. He might have to put hands.
He's a hater. After the show, the Shenzhen show, I had 7 guys looking for Adrian. And where did Adrian go? Adrian went into hiding. He went into hiding because he knew I had 7 guys. This don't even include the stable members that I could have had the stable go after him. We could have gone after. I had 7 guys go after him, and he went hiding. You know what I'm saying? Because he knew what the deal was. He knew his time. But this is what he does. He runs and hides.
It's the politics, man. I'm telling you, it is the politics. These promoters, it goes to their head. They want to be in control, and when they see somebody who is able to do the things that they could only dream of doing, it's amazing how funny they start acting. So, but I'm sure that you're going to sort it out there. And I appreciate you bringing up Big Sam. I mean, here's a guy that has done it all in Middle Kingdom Wrestling China. He has that Big Sam bomb, that finisher move that has destroyed so many people. What's next for the stable? Especially if you end up becoming world heavyweight champion, do you feel that you and Big Sam can continue your partnership, or will you be in a position where you may have to put hands on Big Sam as well?
So Big Sam is the KOPW champion and Ash is the Belt and Road champion. So what's next for me is to get the MKW champion. And once I get that, then all members of the stable are champions. And even better, Sam and I can go challenge for the tag team championships. And if we win those, then the stable, we're all just dripping gold. So there's room for all of us to eat. It's like evolution. They all had the belts, the stable, we all have the belts.
See, and that's the way it should be, because first you get the gold, then you get the money, then you get the honey. We already know what we're talking about here, man.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. Listen, I got a serious question for you here, Uncle Money, because when we talk about Black history, oftentimes people rely exclusively on figures from the past, which is important because, you acknowledge your past in order to understand where you've been so that you can have a better understanding of where you need to go from there. But I think that relying on the past too much does not acknowledge the present enough. Why would we talk about Black history in relation to people who are not even here or making moves, anymore, when we have someone like Uncle Money who every single time you step into a ring, you are living Black history because you are a Black man who went all the way to China and you set that whole nation on fire with the incredible way that you wrestle, with the incredible way that you cut promos, the incredible way that you've been able to just mystify the fan base all over the world, man. You are living, breathing Black history. Do you realize that?
I really appreciate that. I didn't even, when you're doing it, like, all this stuff, you don't never get a chance to just sit back and think, I guess I am a pioneer to, Black history in China out of all places. That does mean a lot that I'm, one of the pioneers that's doing something in China as a Black man.
Why don't you let everybody know what's the best way that they can keep up with you online and follow your career? Because there is just a tremendous appetite for more wrestling that is beyond flippy dippy peanut butter skippy nonsense that we see a lot of times in the States.
Stuff. Yeah.
That nonsense there. Let everybody know how they can catch some of the real stuff from Uncle Money out there in Middle Kingdom Wrestling.
Instagram, I have 2 accounts. Pay Uncle Money. My other one, T_Williams 3222. Also have a couple YouTube channels. First YouTube channel is Trey's Travels. Y'all can check that out. And, you can see the behind the scenes of all the wrestling. You guys can see that. My other one, Comic Book Sports. For those that like boxing or MMA, I talk about those topics. You can find me on Instagram or on YouTube.
His name is Uncle Money. He is one of the top stars in Middle Kingdom Wrestling China. He's one of the top stars in all of pro wrestling. This man is living, breathing Black history. I appreciate you for joining me this week on Duke Loves Rasslin.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
How fantastic was that? Once again, shout out to Uncle Money of Middle Kingdom Wrestling China. And we're going to keep this train going because our next guest is the one, the only Zombie Dragon.
My name is the Devil Weight Zombie Dragon in Chinese. That is Zhong Shu Long. I have been wrestling for 14 years now from Atlanta, now living in Harbin, China, the longest reigning world champion in Chinese pro wrestling, the first American pro wrestler in Vietnam, and so on, so on. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and IG as Zombie Dragon.
Say that in Chinese again for me, please.
Oh, Zhong Shu Long.
Zhong Shu Long.
Long is a dragon, and Zhong Shu is zombie. So Zhong Shu Long.
Zhong Shu Long.
That's exactly right.
Okay, listen, I'm trying to do my John Cena over here, man. I'm going to learn the language so I can take over the movie world. Okay, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Listen, man, it's really fun to have you on the show because you're a celebrity, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to finally be on. I've seen your group on social media and everything, and so it's pretty cool to have MKW reach out and want to have me interviewed. So it means a lot. Black History Month being one of the spotlighted or highlighted wrestlers, man.
I wonder about that. Is it clear? Because you have your mask, and I understand that you're like Batman in a sense that you have to keep your identity very close to the vest. You know what I mean? You don't want too many people to know who you really are because you are a real life superhero. Is it clear to the folk over there that Zombie Dragon is a Black man?
Absolutely not. Most of them think I'm Chinese, man. I get messages all the time in Chinese and I respond in Chinese. And there was a voting thing, like a poll for last year, like who was the best foreign wrestler, and they had Zombie Dragon on there. Fans were like, "Wait, Zombie Dragon's a foreign wrestler?" So they probably think I'm like a Chinese person from like another country or something like that. But yeah, they don't understand that I'm a black guy. It doesn't compute.
That is fascinating to me. And it's, I asked that question not knowing what the answer would be, but I was curious about it because you are tremendously popular. So I was curious about that. How do you think they would react if they knew?
It's the mask that does it. Even if they knew like it's a black guy under it, they wouldn't really care because they're so uh entrapped into the character, and it doesn't move like a stereotypical human, and they just like really get behind. They don't care if you're black or not, or white or not, especially when they're watching wrestling. Normally when there's like wrestling going on, the prejudice usually dies down quite a bit. And Uncle Money, he's a good example because he's a big black guy, and the first time I seen him wrestle in China, the crowd went insane, and they thought he was a baby face. He was a heel, so they wouldn't really care if they found out it was a black guy. They'll think I'm pulling one over their eyes. They'll think that I'm lying to them, like, nah, we know he's Chinese.
It's funny. It's funny because the thing about China is that, for we Americans, there's so much that we don't know, right?
Oh man. Oh yeah.
There's so much we don't know. And I know as a black man, I am curious about, from a cultural standpoint, how that goes, what is the experience of black folk who live over there. But we get glimpses from basketball players. We get glimpses from folks who are in mixed martial arts, and now with you and like you said, Uncle Money, Bufa, we're starting to get glimpses from wrestlers. Just what is the black experience actually living in China? So it's pretty cool. Again, one of the most famous athletes in the entire nation over there is Zombie Dragon, who is a black man. This is something else, man. How long did it take you to get adjusted over there? I mean, when you moved from, because I know you're originally from Atlanta, Georgia, right?
Yep, Atlanta, Georgia.
How long would you say before you actually felt like, something, this is my home now, and I feel like I'm actually part of the overall culture here?
It took a while to get adjusted, the first thing was the timing difference. It was like a full 12-hour difference time-wise from Atlanta. So that first like week or so, I was pretty out of it. But the cool thing is everybody was pretty welcoming, man. I was surprised by that. It took me a while to get used to society, because I didn't quite understand Chinese yet, or the culture. So like I like to walk. I like to go outside and get fresh air and walk. But anywhere I go, like people would stare at you and they would say stuff, and it makes you really uncomfortable. And people would there's another thing in the culture here, at least in the northeast area where I am, people will take their cell phones out and record you. And this is pre-COVID, so there are a lot of people outside. You're trying to just go to a restaurant, and people are just like filming you and looking at you and saying this stuff, and you don't know what's going on, and you just try to be to yourself. And that took a couple of months to really get adjusted to it. And eventually I learned more Chinese and kind of understood what they were saying. They were actually making compliments. Most of them say, "Oh, handsome person," and stuff like this. So I was really surprised by that. And for the most part, every time I was going out pre-COVID, everything was pretty peachy, I'd say.
Talk to me about the food. I mean, I know that, when Zombie Dragon is not out there winning championships and setting the world on fire with the amazing acrobatics and just overall fantastic wrestling.
Oh man,
the food.
What's food up? That's my favorite part. All right, let's start. All right, so one of my favorite foods. I never ate this back home. You can never get me to eat tofu back home. But the barbecue restaurants here have what they call a fish tofu, which we call udofu. It's a fish tofu, and man, it is amazing. Besides that, hot pot or horgor. I don't know if you know what that is. It's when you got
Oh yeah.
one big pot, you put everything in there. I love that. Yoshinoya, one of my favorite chain restaurants from Japan. Excuse me. They have a couple of those out here, and that's one of my favorite places. Just get some quick beef, onions, and rice. Let's see what else. Pepper Lunch. I don't know if you heard about that one. They have this really nice curry omelet that is to die for. And my wife, she's also a cook, so she cooks, man, stuff that I would never eat back home. Like I never eat eggplants. I never even touch an eggplant. But she makes like this, man. She makes it like eggplants with this and that, and I'm like, oh my god, this is good, man. What is this? Like egg and man, there's so many food dumplings. There's the round circular dumpling, which we call balsa. Those are really great. Man, there's just so many. Like especially in this northeastern area, there's just restaurants literally everywhere. Every step, there's a restaurant everywhere.
Did it take your stomach any time to get adjusted, because you are eating different types of food? I mean, here in America, the way that we grow our food, the way that we raise our animals, so the meat itself is full of antibiotics and all kinds of other stuff. There's just a lot of
There's
stuff,
actually two things I can't eat here, that just would screw me up. The first one was cake. And that one was rather surprising. Like most pastries, I can't deal with. I don't know if they leave them out too long or what they use for the cream, but it screws me up every single time. So I can't eat the cakes, and I can't eat what they have a cold barbecue. It's a really weird meal. Just imagine like barbecued meat, but it's cold. I can't eat it. And I tried it. Me and my wife and some of our friends went to Chongqing City in China, and I just wanted to try it. And by the time I got to the hotel, I was just throwing up everywhere. My wife was like, "You sound like a real zombie dragon." And so I was like, "Okay, I can't do that." But besides that, everything else. It's been pretty easy to digest, even if it was my first time, because my stomach, man, it's like an iron cast. I pretty much eat uh everything.
That is wild. That is wild. So, of all things, like you said, cake. Do you think it has to do with the dairy itself, or do you think that there's something else to it?
It might be the dairy. It might be the dairy because I noticed like the ice cream doesn't taste the same here. Like just plain vanilla ice cream is, it's one of my favorites, and I can only eat it if it comes from McDonald's. If it comes from anywhere else, it has this really different taste to it. And I think it's the dairy that really just gives me like this real vomity feeling, man.
That is so interesting. But which, listen, that's a small portion of the overall food that you can eat. So the fact that you can eat, 99% of what's out there, and it's just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you got to stay away from.
Right.
That's cool. What about candy? I'm always interested in different types of candy. I'm a ginger guy. So anything related to ginger, I'm going to get into. And it really wasn't until I started going into Asian markets here in the Boston area that I started to learn that there was a lot of different varieties of fruit and herbal candies and even, ginger. They roll it in sugar, and then it's literally raw ginger. You just eat it. Is that the case actually in China?
Yeah, man, you can get pretty much all of that stuff. I'm actually looking at my stash now. It's like I like a stash of food. Because when COVID hit, me and my wife went, panic crazy, and we got a bunch of food, water, snacks, just everything. But I really like some of the snacks, man. They got some of the ones we have back home, like let's say Dove chocolate or Hershey's, like we have back home, but they'll have like fancier flavors. Like they'll have like a green tea flavor or ginger flavor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even at the McDonald's, like with the apple pies, they had not a green tea, what is called a mocha pie, and a peach something. They have like their own culture with, oh, and especially the chips. Holy crap.
Talk to me.
Crawfish, man. We talking about it. Every type of Lay's. Like I used to see those memes of Lay's making all these random flavors. They really do exist. I've seen all of those random flavors, man.
That is
Everything you could think
crazy.
of, they got it, man.
So what's the craziest flavor potato chip? When I say crazy, I mean different. I mean unusual, something that you would never see here.
Ooh.
What that you've tried, not that you've seen, but you've actually tried yourself.
I don't think I've tried anyone that crazy, but I can tell you the craziest thing I've eaten.
Okay.
And that was a barbecued scorpion.
Oh,
Or it was centipede. Yeah, the scorpion. It was a scorpion I ate.
how was it? Well, I mean, I've had chocolate covered scorpion, so I'm familiar.
Yeah, I wish it
how
was chocolate
that?
on there. No, wasn't no chocolate on that bad boy. That was a shell. It tasted like it tasted like what I expected a scorpion to taste like. So I said,
Oh,
I'd never
no.
eat this again.
Was there mush in the middle? Was it mushy?
Yes.
Oh,
I ate the what do you call those bugs? Those pupae bugs, those little
Yeah.
fat bugs.
yeah.
What happened was I used some came up with this idea for Adrian. I was like, we had what's it, a fatal four-way match? Yeah. And I saw people gathering those bugs and eating them and cooking them. So I was like jokingly, Adrian, give me just a bag of those bugs. And he brought them. And then we used them in the match, and somebody slammed me on them, and they just went pop and it's squishy and shit. And I was like, how can people eat this? And I moved to a beach like city called Juhai in the south, and we went out with a friend, and he ordered them, and he was grilling them and shit. And he was like, "You want to try it?" I was like, "Yeah." I tried one, and I was like, "Man, God has put cows, beef, pork, chicken, and all of this on the earth. Why are we eating these bugs? I'll never eat this again, man."
Wow, that is a trip. That is a trip. And the best part, like you said, with the scorpion in particular, it tasted as you expected it to taste, which was
It did, man. I was thinking this thing about to rock my world, man. I was like,
right.
this scorpion about to curl my toes, man. That scorpion, I never eat that again.
Listen, it taught you a big lesson, man. Don't just say no, okay?
Yeah,
Just say
yeah,
no.
you ain't lying. You
Yeah.
ain't lying.
What about the adult beverages out there? So
Oh,
whether we're talking the beers or the whiskey or what have you, I'm familiar with Japanese beer and whiskey and things like that. But what's the drink out there if folks are going out for drinks?
well, beer is definitely the drink, especially so the city I'm in, Harbin, is very famous for their beer. Harbin
Okay.
beer is famous throughout the country. And so there's usually a beer festival every year where people fly into this city and they try the different beers, but their beer is pretty rich. What else? They have a couple of wines that are gaining more traction. I think it's called Red Fox. I can't remember the name of it. They have a couple of international brands like Korean brands
Sure.
that are
Kieran,
pretty
yeah.
popular.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Ichiban.
yeah,
Ichiban from
Ichiban.
I know I've seen that. Sapporo, all that stuff is over there too, I know.
I'm sure you could find a bottle of sake around somewhere. I haven't been able to find any, but
So
uh,
is the harder liquor like a sake, which I think that's a rice wine? Is that type
yeah,
of stuff not
it's
as prevalent out there?
no, it's just the beer is more popular.
Interesting. Very, very
It's
interesting.
very, very popular, extremely popular.
Wow. Wow, that's cool. I'm fascinated by these things. And I think that there are a few things in life, no matter where you are in the world, no matter where you're from, that translate. It's a gateway into people understanding better what's going on. And you could try with music, you could try with sports, but food, man, food is the number one thing that if you talk to somebody about the food, they can get a much better picture of how it is over there.
That's very true. That's very true, man. And as far as like the beer, I'll give you a funny story. So, I'm actually not a drinker, right?
I believe it.
I don't, drink beer or anything like
You're a
that. But I
world
went
class athlete. You're one of the most
right,
popular
world class
athletes in the whole
athlete.
country. You can't be,
You should be drinking. I went to I went to Nepal one time, right?
Ooh.
And I'll never forget this. My flight was booked with someone who's a bit too excited, and he got quite annoying. And this flight ended up being like maybe it was well over 12 hours. It was way too long. It was longer than it should have been. And we flew from China to Tibet to Nepal. And it was so annoying because he recorded every single second of our flight. And when we touched down, I remember I found some Indian guys who just so happened to be a part of the show. And I'm like, we're going drinking. I was like, let's go. Never drank in my life. I'm just throwing them back. Bam, bam, bam. I don't even know what it's like to be drunk. So I'm just going
Oh,
boom,
no.
boom, 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 boom. So I stand up and I'm like, well, this is incorrect. I have a system malfunction. Guys, can you get me back to the arena? And so one of the head Indian guys, he knew a little about wrestling. So he's like, yeah, zombie, let's go in the ring. So he tried to wrestle me while I was drunk. And I'm just kicking this guy's ass. And in a wrestling situation, I'm not
Sure.
really kicking his ass, but
Sure.
everything looks just as smooth as it would if I'm not drunk. And we're staying at this really nice villa. I mean, this place is immaculate. And it's in the capital in Kathmandu. And Uncle Money, Big Sam, and Big Michael Sue, they're all carrying me back to the villa. And I am just wasted. I felt so bad about this, man. There's this lady, she's doing the flowers in the flower pot outside, and I threw up right inside of the pot. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I go to my room and just go to sleep, man. It was insane.
That is wild. That was your first time getting drunk.
That was my first time drinking and getting drunk.
Oh my God. That is a story. That is a story. Well, thank God she didn't know that you were the zombie dragon.
She would have stabbed me in my sleep. In a zombie for real.
You know what I'm saying? That would have been the it for you. Now, wait a second. Is your wife from here or is she from over there?
No, actually, my wife's she's Chinese. She's from Beijing.
Wow. Okay. So, because when you were talking about the different types of food that she cooks, so that's interesting. No wonder you hadn't had eggplant before and what have you. That just wasn't part of the menu.
Yeah, man, that was never part of the menu. I didn't know this was an option. These are choices. I can make these.
Now, wait a second. Let's flip it for a second. Now, do you bring any of that Atlanta cooking to her now? Have you showed her anything from back home?
Yeah, man, she likes the sausages, the wings. The one thing that she really likes in particular, and this one, man, has killed me. We went back in I want to say 2019. And it was the most random thing. I know she likes chicken, right? We go to Walmart. I'm like, let me get some wrist tape, a few things for the guys, whatever. And at the checkout line, there's this section of rotisserie chickens. So she was like, I want some chicken. So I'm like, okay. And she picks up this whole ass rotisserie chicken. And I look at her and say, are you going to eat that whole chicken? And I swear to God, man, she took that show was in Alabama. She drove from Atlanta to Alabama smacking on a whole ass rotisserie chicken from Walmart, and then was able to cross back in the state line to go back to the house with this same chicken. She was offering people a slice. And she was like, this chicken is so good. I've never had chicken this good. I'm like, baby, that's Walmart chicken. That ain't even on the list of the best chicken in Atlanta. But yeah, man, she gets to try some of the Atlanta stuff. And sometimes I like to order stuff from back home and get it sent here. And it takes a while. It takes like a month or two to get here, but man, it's always worth it, dude.
I mean, I can't imagine that the hot sauce or even the barbecue sauce out there tastes the same as it does here.
No, it's completely different sauce. It's completely different.
Yep. So that I mean, the flavor profile when you put that on the meat over there, That's a whole new world, brother. That's the best of
Man,
both worlds now. Right?
you ain't lying.
Wow.
You ain't lying.
That is a trip. That is a trip. See, because I noticed that whether it be in China, whether it be in Japan, whether it be, Hong Kong, people love, like you said, they love to record things. They love to record themselves doing everyday basic stuff. And eating is a big thing on YouTube in particular. There's mukbang and there's all kinds of this other shows. Oscar in the WWE.
Yeah, she got her YouTube show.
She got her YouTube show where half the time she's eating stuff.
Yep.
Which is really, really interesting because, again, if you're not used to it, it is an adventure. And it is something to see, man.
Man, I can't believe I've eaten some of the stuff. Like if you would have told me 2017 that I'd be, traveling the world, eating all this exotic food, being able to sleep on beaches and villas and all that, I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, man, you must got me mixed up with somebody else. But yeah, man, the food is an adventure because there's culture within the food. You know what I mean? So it's cool to go to places like you said, Hong Kong or mainland China or Japan and experience the food. And you can just kind of taste the culture, if that makes sense.
I love it. I love that. I love that 100%. We're in Black History Month, as you know, the month of February.
Yep.
And, hopefully it's a time of a reflection for everybody, just to think about where we've been as a people and where we can go. But one of the things that I'm really focused on this year in particular is to remind ourselves of where we are. And I had a conversation earlier with Uncle Money, and I said something that blew him away, and I'm going to hit you with the same thing. Zombie Dragon, do you realize that every single day that you do what you do, especially out there in China, you are living and experiencing Black history?
I agree with that. And it's crazy because you're not even the first or even the third person who's told me that. And that's why I work twice as hard. You know what I mean? Not just for me. That's a bit selfish. I appreciate the success, but I'm doing it for others because, oftentimes I get messages from people back home, friends from back home, and they're like, man, just seeing you do it, that keeps me going. I want people to achieve not only what I have, I want you to achieve more than what I got. You know what I mean? I want us to go higher and higher. So, every day I'm alive, promoting, doing this thing, man. I realize that there's going to be a day where maybe I'll retire and there'll be a young boy or a young girl who wants to come into pro wrestling, and they might find out about me and see what I've done. And that may be the thing that projects them into this life of, I hope, infinite success.
That's dope. That's dope, man. I tell you, you're a good dude. And it's funny because Jabari, a.k.a. Big Bear, friend of the show here from the Nation of African American Wrestling, NAW.
Yep.
He's a big supporter of yours. He and his wife, they spent a number of the past few years here really mentioning Zombie Dragon and making sure that folk here in the States keep your name front of mind. They don't allow people to forget that you're doing your thing out there, and I commend them for that because it's truly it's something that we all need to do for one another. Talk to me about Nah and about Jabari. I mean, how do you feel about that group, and what do these folks mean to you?
So I remember as soon as I joined that group, I was a little established with the character at the time, but as soon as I joined the group, man, it was weird. It was like family, and that's weird because I don't join a lot of Facebook groups. I'm in a lot of them, but I don't actively engage. People just added me into them, and I'm just too lazy to leave. But that's the only group on Facebook that I'll actually engage with, man, and they'll have some really good discussions and everything. And Jabari, man, he's always him and Minnie Mac, his wife. They've always been supportive, man. I've come out with new designs. They've been on the merch game, Twitter. Uh, they're constantly doing promotional work for not just myself but other wrestlers. Man, like that whole group is great for us to have. And I told him this recently. There's nothing else like it. That's crazy. Like for just based on African American wrestlers, it's like just them, and that's crazy. And he said he's glad to be in the background, being able to show support and not being like front and center. And I told him, as a performer, that does a lot for us. You don't understand like how much of a morale boost professional wrestlers or people in general need, especially during these times. So for wrestlers to know that even though they're weaving through BS on a weekly basis, yeah, there is a group for them. There is a group of fans and administrators who support them. That makes them want to go out there and do a better job. And when we see Jabari and his wife or any of the group members coming to these indie shows, these live shows, man, you could see it in the performance of the wrestlers because you see your people out there. So you want to put in 110%. So NAAW has done more for us than any other group on social media that I can think of.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And the thing is, like you said, despite all of the hard work, one of the things that's a focus is that Jabari and the crew, they lay in the background. They make sure the spotlight is always on the wrestlers. And I tip my hat to that. That's beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
there, man.
man.
So Middle Kingdom Wrestling. I mean, what can we expect in 2022 from Zombie Dragon?
I'm just probably going to kill everybody. No, I'm not going to kill everybody because then there's no more competition.
Well, listen, I heard Uncle Money say something about he's going to start smacking people because he's getting a little fed up. People. Yeah, he was saying he's going to start smacking, popping people, man. So I don't know if you were on that list, but I'm just giving you a heads up.
I hope I am on this list. See, I didn't tell you about what I did to him in the Kingdom Rumble. See, See, MKW made a mistake. They made Zombie Dragon the first person to be out, the first person to enter the Kingdom Rumble of 30 men. And I'm like, do you realize like you just gave me 29 other people to decimate? And of course, Uncle Money's in there, right? He's all big, strong, but he tired. That's a long game, right? So he in the corner just trying to rest. And here I come trying to mess his whole day. I put my boot on his throat and I said, I leaned in real close, just out of camera shot, and I can see him gasping for air. And I looked at him and said, I got your big booty ass now.
Well, maybe you are on his list then, because he sounded pretty.
Yeah, I'm probably number one on that.
Man, listen, I can't wait to see it, man. I'll tell you, I tip my hat to all you guys. You folks are doing such a great job as a collective over there in Middle Kingdom Wrestling in China, and just the fact that there are so many fantastic Black wrestlers in that company who get an opportunity to showcase what they can do. You're not an afterthought. You're not the primary losers. You're not the people that aren't as important as everybody else. It's the complete opposite. You know what I mean? I see a lot of equality. I see a lot of equity. I see a lot of fairness coming out of that company. And just the fact that the promoter, Adrian, was adamant about having you fellas on Duke Loves Rasslin to celebrate Black history that's happening in Middle Kingdom Wrestling, and that's happening in China in general. It's a beautiful thing, man. So I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation, Zombie Dragon. I know it's the wee hours of the morning all the way over there.
What time is it? Like 3 a.m.? Yeah, about 3 a.m. Zombie dragons, we don't sleep, man.
You're a zombie. How could you? You're a zombie.
We don't sleep.
That's nice. Listen, man, before I let you go, you got any shout out for your family back home?
Yeah, man. My son, he probably won't hear it, but I hope he gets to hear it and he keeps to do well in school. I hope the left-hand path, stays on the right path. No pun intended. And Eric Silva, I hate you. And that's about it.
There he is. His name is Zombie Dragon. Eric Silva, you better watch your back because he does hate you.
No, that's one of my guys, man. I just like to troll him every single waking day.
Awesome stuff there by Zombie Dragon. Once again, thank you, Uncle Money, Middle Kingdom Wrestling China. Folks, you got to check them out. MKW, I'm telling you, it's one of my favorite promotions. They just do such a wonderful job, and they continue to grow, which is what I love about them the most. Duke Loves Rasslin on Twitter, on Facebook, DukeLovesRasslin@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. We celebrate the folks out there who are doing the right thing. You know, that's what it comes down to. Here on this show, you will get a mixed bag of different personalities that are in the wrestling industry, that are associated with the wrestling industry, from journalism, from entertainment, professional sports, you name it. Okay, that's what you get at Duke Loves Rasslin. And as you heard this week, we will go all the way to China to highlight the folks doing the right thing. That's right. I got a special surprise for you coming up Sunday. For all you Valentine's Day folks, all the lovers in the house, check me out on Sunday. Get a special conversation to air for you. Until then, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.